The desert sun beats down on the shooting range. Targets shimmer at 50, 100, 200 meters, their black circles blurring in the heat. A young woman steps into view. Her name is Lieutenant Mira Hayes. Her uniform is pressed but plain, her face marked by a faint scar that pulls just slightly when she doesn't smile. She doesn't smile now. She doesn't need to. The men on the line glance at her, then at each other. Snickers rise, low at first, then sharper. She's just a desk translator. One voice cuts through. Here to take notes, not pull a trigger? The laughter swells. A corporal nudges the private beside him. Careful, she might translate the target into French before she shoots at it. More laughter. Mira adjusts her stance quietly, hands steady at her sides. Her eyes stay forward. She doesn't answer. The range officer, Captain Duran, strides up. Square jaw, aviator sunglasses, metals gleaming under the blistering sun. He looks at her as though she's a misprint on the roster. "You're not supposed to be here," he says flatly. "Translation staff observe. They don't fire. That rifle in your hands, waste of government steel." Mira grips the old M110 sniper rifle tighter. She had signed it out under regulation. She had every right to stand here. But the men only hear Duran's tone. They chuckle, emboldened. One sergeant whispers loud enough for the row to catch. "Quota female. They just need photos of her smiling with a rifle for the PR office." Another adds, "She's never even squeezed a trigger. Bet her hands shake just writing reports." The taunts are sharp, designed to draw blood, but Mira stays silent. Her scar glints in the sun, and her eyes remain locked on the farthest target. The validator stands off to the side, General Marcus Hale, a decorated war hero with 4 decades of service. He watches without expression. His silence is heavy. The kind of silence that records everything. Captain Duran points to the edge of the firing line. "Stand down, Lieutenant. You'll only slow us. Go fetch water or take notes. Leave the range to real soldiers." Mira doesn't move. The scar along her cheek stiffens as her jaw tightens. She breathes once, slow. The dust lifts at her boots. Her hands are still. Her voice, when it comes, is quiet. "Permission to stay on the line, sir," Duran scoffs. "Permission denied." The crowd laughs again, sharper this time. "Sit down, translator," one soldier sneers. "Let the men handle the rifles." The word translator cuts deeper than intended. It's true she's fluent in 3 languages. It's true she's drafted intelligence reports for missions that never bore her name. But her file holds pages no one here has read. Pages sealed by classification. Pages that say she is trained where storms tear bullets off course, where even veterans miss their mark. None of them know that. Not yet. Mira lowers her eyes for a moment as if yielding. Then she lifts them again, and the gaze is steady, unblinking. She doesn't argue. She doesn't plead. She just stays. The sun beats hotter. The air shimmers. The taunts don't stop. One soldier cups his hands and shouts down the line, "Hey, translator! Maybe you can tell the target in Arabic to surrender. Save us the bullets." The laughter erupts again, echoing across the range. Even Duran smirks, shaking his head. He waves at the firing line. "All right, marksman, show the lieutenant what real shooting looks like." Rifles crack one by one. Brass casings clatter onto the hot ground. Targets tear and flutter. The scoreboard lights up with 7s, 8s, a few 10s. Good shots in brutal desert wind. The crowd applauds their own. Then, deliberately, Duran turns back to her. "You see that, Hayes? That's precision. That's experience. Something you don't have." He steps closer, his sunglasses reflecting her scarred face back at her. "Step off the line. Last warning." Mira doesn't blink. Her voice is soft. "No, sir." The air shifts, the mockery dulls into mutters. Even the soldiers sense something beneath her calm. General Hale folds his arms in silence, his expression unreadable. His eyes never leave Mira. Captain Duran shakes his head. "Fine. Stay." But when you miss, and you will miss, everyone here will know you don't belong. The words hang in the heat like a sentence. Every man on the line turns to watch. Every laugh sharpens into expectation. Every eye waits for her failure. But Mira Hayes doesn't flinch. She breathes slow. Her hand rests on the rifle's worn grip. Her gaze doesn't waver from the farthest target, where the desert wind churns hardest. They mocked her as a desk translator, but in minutes they'll learn what she really is. The range is alive with gunfire, but the noise of mockery cuts louder than bullets. Mira stands at the edge of the firing line, silent, her scar catching the light. A corporal sidles up behind her, voice pitched just enough for others to hear. You know why they keep you around, translator? Not for combat, not for skill. You're here because some politician needed a woman on the roster. He spits into the sand, shaking his head. Quota soldier, a checkbox in uniform, nothing more. The line chuckles. The words spread like wildfire. Quota female, quota female. Mira hears every syllable. She doesn't reply. A private in designer sunglasses lifts his phone, angling it so the lens catches Mira in frame. He narrates for the live stream, smirking. Ladies and gentlemen, meet our newest desk ornament. Rumor is she translates menus faster than bullets. Let's see if she can survive the warm-up. Laughter erupts. The phone captures her scar, her stillness, her silence. A few soldiers pose behind her, miming hand gestures as if typing on keyboards. Type, translator, type! Don't drop your stapler, one shouts. The crowd roars. Mira's jaw tenses, but she doesn't turn. The range is alive with gunfire, but the noise of mockery cuts louder than bullets. Mira stands at the edge of the firing line, silent, her scar catching the light. A corporal sidles up behind her, voice pitched just enough for others to hear. You know why they keep you around, translator? Not for combat, not for skill. You're here because some politician needed a woman on the roster. He spits into the sand, shaking his head. Quota soldier, a checkbox in uniform, nothing more. The line chuckles. The words spread like wildfire. Quota female, quota female. Mira hears every syllable. She doesn't reply. A private in designer sunglasses lifts his phone, angling it so the lens catches Mira in frame. He narrates for the live stream, smirking. Ladies and gentlemen, meet our newest desk ornament. Rumor is she translates menus faster than bullets. Let's see if she can survive the warm-up. Laughter erupts. The phone captures her scar, her stillness, her silence. A few soldiers pose behind her, miming hand gestures as if typing on keyboards. Type, translator, type, don't drop your stapler, one shouts. The crowd roars. Mira's jaw tenses, but she doesn't turn. Third shot. The bullet overlaps the first, splitting the paper in perfect symmetry. The scoreboard flashes. 30.0 gasps cut through the silence. No one breathes. Phones lower. Even the desert wind seems to pause. She fires again. Fourth shot. Fifth. Sixth. Each one slams into the same ragged hole. The system pings, announcing rare consecutive bullseyes. Captain Duran's smirk fades. His sunglasses hide his eyes, but his jaw tightens. The soldiers shuffle uneasily. Their chants are gone, replaced by the metallic clatter of brass on steel and the rhythm of Mira's breath. Seventh shot. Eighth. Ninth. The target looks less like paper now and more like a wound, one expanding hole carved deeper with every round. The 10th shot comes last. She waits for the wind to shift. A half-second pause, then pulls the trigger. The crack echoes off the range walls. The board blazes. 100.0. New record. 10 out of 10. Perfect group. In gale winds. The silence is absolute. The crowd stares at the impossible cluster. A black ring obliterated by precision. Mira lowers her rifle calmly. Her scar pulls tight, but her eyes are steady. She doesn't gloat. She doesn't smile. She simply whispers, barely loud enough for the captain beside her to hear. Translation complete. The words strike harder than the shots. Mockery turns to awe. And the proof has only just begun. The scoreboard still glows. 100.0. Facility record. The desert wind claws at flags overhead, but the firing line is frozen, every soldier stunned into silence. Mira rises slowly, rifle balanced in her hands. She does not celebrate. She simply resets. Captain Duran clears his throat, trying to recover his authority. One record doesn't make you a sniper, Hayes. Do it again. At distance. He gestures toward the far targets, 400 meters out, barely more than black dots wavering in the heat shimmer. The men exchange glances. Even seasoned shooters miss in winds like this. Mira doesn't argue. She lowers herself again, prone this time, elbows locked steady against the dirt. Her breath calms. Her scar glints. The wind gusts harder. Sand whips across the line. Duran folds his arms, waiting for her to fail. The crack splits the air. The spotter's scope jerks. Then, gasps ripple. Bullseye. Dead center at 400 meters. Second shot. Bullseye. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Each one slams into the center like guided fire. The murmurs grow. Phones rise again, but now they record with awe instead of scorn. Even the arrogant private with the sunglasses lowers his lens, his hand trembling. Mira racks the bolt, the motion fluid, calm. 10th shot lands. The target looks drilled by a machine, 10 holes fused into one. The screen flashes 400 millimeters, 10, 10, perfect group. Soldiers who jeered minutes ago now whisper, "No way, nobody shoots like that." But Mira isn't finished. Captain Duran tries again, voice sharp, desperate. "Fine. Stationary targets are nothing. Let's see her hit a moving drone." The range officer triggers the mechanism. A steel target, rigged to sway and dart, begins zigzagging across the far dunes. Wind howls. Dust blinds. Mira doesn't blink. She breathes once, twice, then fires. The moving target rings loud. Direct hit. Gasps erupt. Second shot strikes the edge. Third slices the dead center as the drone veers violently. Fourth, fifth, sixth, each one precise. By the 10th, the target is shredded. The scoreboard erupts. Unprecedented accuracy. The firing line is silent. Every soldier who mocked her stands frozen, mouths half open. The weight of her proof crushes their scorn into dust. General Marcus Hale finally steps forward. His boots thud against the range floor. Every man snaps to attention. The veteran war hero removes his cap slowly. His eyes, hard as steel for 40 years, soften on Mira. "That," he says, his voice low but carrying, "is the finest display of marksmanship I've witnessed in my career." He turns to Duran, his gaze a blade. "You dismissed her as a translator. She just outshot every man under your command. 10 bullseyes, twice, in winds that break champions." Duran swallows hard, his jaw twitching. But Hale doesn't stop. He faces the assembled unit, his voice rising. "Lieutenant Hayes is not a quota, not a translator, not deadweight. She is a sniper, and from this moment, every soldier here will remember her as the standard." The words slam harder than bullets. The validation is absolute, and the air of the range shifts, from jeers to reverence. But Mira knows the true test is still coming. The desert trembles under a new silence. Every soldier stares at Mira as if seeing her for the first time. Her scar, once mocked, now glows like a mark of steel. Captain Duran refuses to yield. He snaps at the range officer. "Release the final test. Wind at maximum. Target 800 meters. No time to aim. 10 seconds only." The crowd gasps. Even veterans miss at that distance. No warm-up, no mercy. It's a firing squad against her pride. The drone target whirs to life. It darts and veers, nearly invisible at the horizon. The desert wind howls like a beast, tearing bullets sideways. Mira doesn't flinch. She lowers herself once more, cheek pressed to the worn stock. The seconds bleed. 9, 8, 7. Her breath steadies. 6, 5, 4. She fires. The crack splits the desert. The scoreboard blazes. Direct hit. Gasps ripple down the line. 3 seconds left. She adjusts. Fires again. Another bullseye. Time expires. The range erupts in chaos. 2 shots, both impossible, both true. The men who mocked her are silent now, their arrogance stripped bare. Phones that once streamed her humiliation now record history. General Hale steps forward, his voice iron. Enough. She doesn't need 10 shots, she only needed 2. The crowd freezes. Duran's lips part, but no words come. Mira lowers her rifle, her eyes steady, her scar cutting fierce in the sun. She speaks at last, her voice calm, final, undeniable. I belong here. The range is silent still. Sand whirls in the desert wind, but no one dares to speak. The soldiers who laughed now stand stiff, eyes lowered. The arrogance is gone. In its place, respect. Hard-earned, undeniable. General Hale nods once, slow and deliberate. Mark this day. You witnessed it. Lieutenant Hayes is not a translator. She is the sharpest rifle in this unit. The words are final. They echo louder than the gunfire. Mira shoulders her rifle, calm, steady. She doesn't bask in victory, she doesn't gloat. She simply turns from the line, her boots crunching over sand, her scar glinting in the fading sun. Behind her, whispers follow, not jeers, not mockery, but awe, and something heavier, shame for every cruel word spoken. She doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. Her proof is carved into the scoreboard, into their memory, into the silence she left behind. So when the world mocks you, remember Mira Hayes on that desert line. They tried to bury her in humiliation. She answered with precision, with discipline, with truth no one could deny. If you've ever been underestimated, tell your story in the comments. Someone needs to hear it. And don't forget, subscribe for the next tale of resilience, because the underdog doesn't stay down, not forever.